Hello, teachers. Now, I want to talk about knowledge. Some people, when they are teaching, teachers, when they are teaching, they think that knowledge is supposed to be given. Knowledge is not supposed to be given. If you are teaching with that mindset of you giving the knowledge, then it means your kids will not, your students will not be critically thinking. That's also one of the reasons why you struggle with making them think critically, because you're giving all the pieces of information. You are giving directly, which means you are giving knowledge, but you are not generating knowledge. Knowledge is supposed to be generated within the minds of your learners, within the minds of your kids. When it's generated, it means it gets generated because they were thinking critically. That's why the knowledge got generated. And how will they think critically? When you will ask them critical thinking questions, when you will not right away give them answers, but you will answer them in a way where you are actually questioning them to push them to reach that information on their own. For example, I'll give you like 2 to 3 examples where you will understand that it's your questioning that matters the most, that will actually help towards generating knowledge. For example, if I am teaching, let's say I'm teaching phonics to my students, so they might come across a word where there is E at the end, but we are not making the sound of that E. So instead of me telling them that, oh, this E is not going to make any sound, I can ask them, can you think of any reason for why there is a different sound on this E? You won't even believe, they will actually give you a lot of different answers for that same question that you asked them. The only thing is that you have to make them think critically by not giving the information, but scratching it out of their brains. That's how the knowledge will be generated, because since you asked that question, they will now start thinking about it. Oh, so E, there is E, yes, but miss, it's making a sound actually, because there is one A with it. In skate, if I remove E, it will be Scott. Like, they will come up with a lot of answers for that same thing that you think you need to give them. No, don't need to give them. Just ask a question about it, and they will come up with a lot of answers for it. You just have to ask them a critical thinking question. They will think critically just to understand why it happened like that, or why E is making a different sound. For example, another lesson can be, instead of giving them the meanings of the words, when we are teaching, let's say we are teaching them vocabulary, we are making them familiar with the new words. Instead of you telling them this is the meaning, okay, match the meaning. No, make them think critically by giving them a context. Let them think on their own. That's how that's actually the normal way of thinking critically, by making them, pushing them to think, so they reach the information on their own. Another example can be, let's say if you're teaching them, you are reading text together. So and the text has a lot of things to discuss, a lot of questions that you can ask. If you have one text, there are a lot of questions within the text. Okay, what do you think the author, why do you think the author is writing this text? How can you say, what's your reason for this? Which detail did you think, which detail can you pick to show me that what you're thinking is right? Can you validate your thinking with details from the text? Okay, why do you think this detail is stronger and it is really proving a point? Why do you think the author thinks like this? Or why do you think the character suddenly changed his behavior? What actually might have happened? Okay, so based on these actions, what do you think? What kind of personality does the character have? Or what would he go on to do in his future? So there are a lot of chances, a lot of opportunities to ask critical thinking questions within the text itself. So that's how the knowledge, the information will be generating inside of their minds, where you are not giving it to them, you are not telling them anything, but you are asking them questions about it. Another example could be, for example, if you are teaching something in grammar, you are teaching them, let's say, types of sentences. Why do you think we are not adding a full stop at the end of the sentence? Why do we have an exclamation mark? Why do you think this sentence with the exclamation mark is different from that sentence with the full stop? What could be the reasons? And all of the students different, like many different students will give you many different answers for that same question. So just ask them to direct them towards where you want them to go. That's how you make them think critically. That's how you generate the knowledge within their minds. So remember, don't give the knowledge, generate the knowledge within the minds of your learners. When your kids are able, like when you are putting them into this habit of you questioning them, questioning from here, questioning from there, and twisting your questions and pushing them to reach the information on their own, while you are not giving the information to them. So it means you are making them critically thinking, you are putting them in the habit of thinking critically, which means once they are thinking better, they will become less dependent on you. And you have to look at this thing in a similar way as parents are raising their kids. When parents are raising their kids, they are nurturing them, they are bringing all the best things for them, they are spending on them and everything. But at the same time, they know that once these kids grow up, they have to let those kids go, and those kids have to go out there in the world and face the world on their own independently. Then the parents can't do anything for them, and they will have to face all the harsh realities of the real life. So which means the parents are nurturing them, but at the same time they want their kids to become independent of them and not be dependent on them for the rest of their life. And that's the same thing that you as teacher have to do, that while you are teaching, you should also have this in your mind, that this kid, I want him to be, in, let's say, in 2 to 3 months, or let's say towards the end of the academic year, in the last term, I really want this kid to be not dependent on me anymore, because I see there is some potential, but he just needs guidance. So you are focusing on pushing them to become independent learners, where you don't have to go on every time read the tasks for them, read the sentences for them, or reading their tests for them, because the more you do it, the more they will be dependent on you, which means it's not developing that culture of independent working. So you really need to think about this. So work on building this habit of independent working, and this independent this thing of being an independent learner will not come in from day one. It is connected to so many things: the way you will be supporting them, the way you will be giving them the right tasks to work on, the way you will be asking right questions. And this is the thing that I have noticed in all different groups and sets of students with whom I have worked, because I have taught kids from different cultural backgrounds, sometimes in the classes where all different cultures were mixed and sitting together, learning together. Sometimes I was in schools where there was only one culture, like all Emirati kids. So I have seen kids from all different cultural backgrounds. I have taught all different kinds of kids, but the one thing that I noticed was same about all of them, was that the more they are able to think better, the more thinking routines, the more you are making them think, helps towards them becoming independent learners. And you can't even believe how much it will help you. You can't even believe, like, it's like a lot of responsibility comes off of your shoulders when you are pushing your kids to work independently. And you don't just push them to work independently, but you are supporting them in the right way, so they are actually able to then, in some months or in some weeks, or let's say towards the end of the term, they are then really able to go and independently work on their own. They won't be needing your help anymore in opening Google Classroom for them, showing them the task in Google Classroom, or reading the task for them, or explaining the task for them, because that's all. It all points towards the fact that those kids are still dependent on you. So this is also one thing that you really have to work on, and they will become less dependent on you when they become better thinkers. So keep on asking right questions, keep on pushing them to think, so when they start thinking on their own, generating knowledge in their mind, they become less dependent on you. So I hope it helps.